The time has come for the final week of the NFL season. Welcome to the weekly recess. Jersey Nerds Productions here. Mitchell Lee, Connor Vandemark, Nick Izzo in the house, and we're talking about National Football League regular season for the final time this year before the playoffs get started. There's some big games coming up in week 18, some playoff spots on the line, some controversy in week 17. But first, can we agree that Lamar Jackson locked up the MVP in week 17?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we can agree. And if anybody says otherwise, I just don't know what other candidate you could possibly say that would be above him. So, yeah, he definitely did.
I can still see a point for Dak Prescott. I can still see an argument being made for Dak because Baltimore's defense has played at such a high level. But Lamar Jackson in his performance, like no one else is going to win. It's done. Lamar Jackson is going to win MVP. It's going to be his second MVP. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll probably lock up a spot in the Hall of Fame for him because you don't win two MVPs and not get to the Hall of Fame. That's just not a thing that happens.
Now, you just brought up something.
Especially when one of them was you.
You mentioned before that.
Go ahead.
You mentioned just then that about the Ravens' defense. Could one not also make the same argument for the Cowboys? Not that Dak hasn't played well, but their defense has also done a lot for them.
I would agree that they both have good defenses, but I don't think the Cowboys have a top 5 defense the way that the Ravens do. I would put the Ravens defense up there. Like the Browns are probably the top defense. Like Ravens, Browns, 49ers, Jets are the cream of the crop defenses in the National Football League. I might be missing someone. I probably am. But those are the teams that I think strike fear. The Cowboys definitely have players like Micah Parsons. Deron Bland has definitely had his moments of just reading a quarterback's eyes and taking it to the house. But I think as an overall unit, they're very good, but it's not like Mike McDonald is going to get a head coaching job based on the job that he's done as the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. But Lamar Jackson is going to get his second MVP, 18 of 21, 321 yards, 5 touchdowns, 6 carries for 35 yards, by the way. So for that one announcer that said that Lamar Jackson wasn't quarterbacky enough, I don't know what to tell you. That's as quarterbacky as it gets. That's a perfect passer rating, 158.3, and Lamar Jackson is going to win his second MVP. Just stunning. But it also opens him up for some criticism because as a 2-time MVP now, you have shown that you can play at an extremely high level, and it's not a fluke. And the postseason success hasn't really come with it. So the pressure's on as the Ravens are probably going to be the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
So with the conversation you said, potentially winning a second MVP, I would say the Hall of Fame is a lock. Like if he continues the pace of play he has been, not even like just under MVP level for the rest of his career, then yeah, I would say he's a lock. But the door is open for him. If he gets a Super Bowl, then he's a lock.
Like, I think that Super Bowl,
it's the check boxes.
I just can't imagine them not putting in a 2-time MVP. I just can't imagine it. Like Lamar Jackson, like unless he has and I'm not trying to speak anything into existence. Please don't take that as such. Unless he has like a really horrible injury and his career stops like next month. But at that point, he'd still be a 2-time MVP. and I just I can't see it. But you're right. The
See, to
postseason
me,
success is now the only thing missing.
like that's why I don't use those terms like lock, because to me, lock is no matter what happens, you're in. Like,
Yeah,
for
I get
example,
that.
I think Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes ends his career tomorrow, he's a lock still
MVP or yeah, Hall of Fame. Yep,
because he
easy.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame. Yes, that's what I'm
Yep.
saying. Like
Top
those
seven
like
quarterback
to
of all
me,
time. Yeah.
yeah, like to me, once you pass that without any thought, then you're a locked up player. Like I've seen it before when it comes to like the NHL players, where we have players who are on that track, and then all it takes is one injury, and yeah, they're never the same, and that track that they were on previously is now long forgotten. Even though they have a successful career overall, they're still playing 1,000 games, but they're not being that same threshold that they should have.
I would have said before Russell Wilson went to Denver that all Russell Wilson needs to
Mm-hmm.
do is avoid being a disaster in Denver, and he will be in the Hall of Fame. And then the last 2 years happened. And maybe he'll get a chance
Yeah.
somewhere else. I actually think he will get another chance to start, but I think Hall of Fame might have gone out the window in that time period. So you're right. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I would agree. I think at this point, I think he would probably have to go win another to go get Hall of Fame. But yeah, the last 2 years for us, he definitely puts a dent on that for sure.
Now let's take a look at the Ravens and how they've done against teams that are of the upper echelon of the NFL. Let's say double-digit win teams. They beat the Browns 28-3, the Lions 38-6, lost to the Browns 33-31, beat the 49ers 33-19, and beat the Dolphins 56-19. They've been about as dominant as you can be against the best of the best in the league. And yet I still have trouble. Like, I think that they're going to do well in the playoffs, and I do think that they'll get to the Super Bowl. But it's just tough for me for someone. The Ravens have been there before where they've had the high playoff expectations and they haven't gotten it done in January. But it's also just so nice to have a healthy Lamar Jackson going into playoff time. Because the last few years, the Ravens have been in that one seed, either conversation or they've been the actual one seed late in November. And then Lamar gets hurt. They either drop out of the playoffs or they're in the playoffs, but with Tyler Huntley. So no matter how this goes in January, I just kind of want us to appreciate the fact that we're getting to watch Lamar Jackson play in the playoffs this season.
You posed this question last week of, who would you rather be, San Francisco or the Ravens? And no, I did to the Ravens because of the fact that like even though that they might have a harder path to get to the Super Bowl, I still think that they can beat any team that they come across, and handily too. Like San Francisco still gives him some pause, and especially now with the CMC injury, where he is taking off next week, and he should be healthy for in what 2 3 weeks
Yeah, he's
time,
gonna
because they
get
have the
two and a
first week
half
bye.
weeks off.
No.
But with CMC, he does have injury history, so no, God forbid something happens to him, that's a big focal point to their offense. And that whole NFC is a mishmash of teams who are like, you may never know who's going to show up.
Let's talk about this AFC East battle week 18. I know we like to spend a lot of time talking about the week that was, but I think it's unavoidable to talk about the week that's coming. Dolphins and Bills in week 18. The Dolphins have a playoff spot locked. And not, Russell Wilson Hall of Fame spot locked. Like, actually, they cannot miss the playoffs this season, even after they got demolished by Miami, or by Baltimore. One seed's out the window. Buffalo has a just myriad of possibilities for what can happen in week 18. they could be the 2 seed. They could be out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's insane.
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen that variety
Yeah,
where
the
the
disparity in that.
Bills, who have been playing strange football lately. And notice I didn't say bad because they've been winning games. But the Patriots game, they had under 300 yards of offense. Josh Allen went 15 of 30, 169 yards, 1 interception. Stephon Diggs has been just kind of absent from the offense the last few weeks. They haven't run the ball all that well since the Dallas game, but their defense has been taking care of business against less than stellar quarterbacks. They go to Miami. I think the Bills are a playoff team as far as I'm concerned, and they're the quote unquote team no one wants to see. But I think it's because they found different ways to win. But if they're going to beat the Dolphins, I think it kind of has to go back to the old standard Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, make things happen down the field connection.
No,
Yeah.
but the thing is, though, what I see with Diggs is that because he has been disgruntled, and they've been proving that they can win without him. I know that, but like, he's not getting the targets that he usually has been, and the fact that Allen's been spreading the ball around much more, and that they've been able to show success with that. Now the running game hasn't been as good again, like you said, since the Dallas game, but they're showing different ways to win. No, honestly, however the season falls to the Bills, I would not be upset if I was a Bills fan. It sucks, but like going into this week, if they lose, God forbid, to Miami, then they can root for either a Pittsburgh loss or a Jacksonville loss. Those are the other 2 ways that they can get in. Because the Houston Indianapolis game, only if it ties, that would actually affect them. And no, football can go weird ways sometimes, but I doubt that game's going to end in a tie.
Watch it ends in a tie now.
I hope I jinx that because that would be funny as hell.
That'd be crazy
because
for
there's
a week 18 game.
Because there's a lot of things that get funny when they tie.
Oh yeah. So you brought up a point before, Mitchell, about obviously with Miami now. Do we think that they are going to sit the starters, given that they are now into
No.
the playoffs?
No, because Miami can still get the 2 seed and home field anywhere except against anyone except Baltimore. That's the difference between having to play, say, the Chiefs at home versus going to Arrowhead. That's a big deal. That's the difference between maybe having to play in Arrowhead. And I know that the Chiefs aren't the juggernaut that we're used to them being, but playing in Kansas City against Mahomes for your first playoff game, as opposed to, say, hosting CJ Stroud, which I know everyone loves CJ Stroud, and rightfully so. I love CJ Stroud. I really want the Texans to get in and for him to play playoff football, but getting a rookie going on the road for his first playoff start, or Gardner Minshew going on the road for his first playoff start, as opposed to traveling to Kansas City or traveling to, I don't even know if they can play. I think it would be Kansas City if they lost. Maybe it would be Jacksonville, but either way, you don't want to play a road game if you don't have to.
This is true.
I'm looking through the stuff now. It will probably be, probably Kansas City, because it looks like that the Browns would have the conference record tiebreak against the Dolphins.
Yeah,
their
and
division
the Chiefs
record will be tied.
Yeah,
Maybe.
So it would be Kansas City. So Miami's definitely going all in. They're trying to win the division, get the 2 seed, all of that. That's going to be the late game on Sunday night for a reason, because that's the game with the most at stake. except maybe it's not, because Saturday night football, Texans Colts, both of those teams won big games. Texans got CJ Stroud back. They beat the Titans 26-3. The Colts beat the Raiders. Seemed like they kind of were willing to give that game away at the end, but they got it done 23-20. And the winner of that game on Saturday night is guaranteed a playoff spot and can even win the division if the Jaguars lose to the Titans with a hobbled Trevor Lawrence. So anything is possible, but the winner of that game is automatically in. And I don't know about you guys, I want to watch CJ Stroud play some playoff football.
I do too. Before we continue this, I do want to cut back real quick because an interesting situation could come up for the Finns and Buffalo, where Kansas City will sit in the 2 seed, and then Miami will have to go on the road to Buffalo the following week. And if I'm Miami, I don't want that.
Yeah, that's another reason why the Dolphins are definitely all hands on deck for Week 18, because you don't want to go to Buffalo, you don't want to go to Kansas City. You want that, and Miami's not a great home field advantage by any means, but do you want
Buffalo
to
is
playing on the road in Buffalo? Buffalo is, and so is Kansas City. But getting
But as
back
you say
to the
before,
Texans,
yes, I want, I want to see Stroud, man. He's been electric all year, and
Yeah, definitely.
he's meant for the stage.
I'm ready. Yeah, I think that's a good point. He played exceptionally well last season in college against Georgia on a big stage and put them in position to win that game. I am going to say this. I would not vote him for Rookie of the Year, though. I think that Puka Nacua has earned that one. It's close, and I can definitely see
I agree with
the
that.
case being made for Stroud. But I think that Puka has played at such a high level so consistently this year. And unfortunately, this is just part of the game. He stayed healthy, whereas CJ Stroud has missed time. And Stroud, the last 3 games has been, I mean, that Jets game and then the Broncos game before it wasn't particularly great. I definitely think that he misses Tank Dell. That is a weapon that the Texans are not going to have moving forward this season, and they're really going to miss him. And the Colts, this whole season, I've been saying to myself, man, I really wish I could see Anthony Richardson in this offense. But Gardner Minshew's played well. Gardner Minshew has earned the right to be in the starter conversation for someone next year. The stats don't really do him the greatest service in the world. I mean, you look at it, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and that's really not the most impressive thing in the world. But he's kept that offense moving and kept them in games to the point where they are in a win-in situation at home and gotten their best players the ball. I mean, Michael Pittman, over 100 catches, over 1,100 yards. That's what you want from any backup that has to come in and play a long period of time. Shoot, I know the Jets would have taken Gardner Minshew. Would have loved to have that level of play.
Minshew to me is almost like a perfect embodiment of a gunslinger, where he's just taking his drop back and he's just like, Michael Pittman, I see you, bucket, and he just tosses it, and whatever happens, happens. If he catches it, great, and he's like, yeah, good job, and then if he doesn't, he's like, get him on the next one. Like, to me, like that's why.
Yeah,
I
we'll
like
get him
watching
next
him
time.
play. Like, he's just like, you know what? Like, can I hit it between the safety and the corner? Fuck it, let's see. Like, that's why watching him play and run the offense is kind of like, like let's see what he does here.
I'm happy he's getting that other chance too, because like he did, with Trevor Lawrence stepping in as the new leader for the Jaguars, no, he did got pushed to the side, and like as a backup quarterback, he's a great person to come down to. Like, oh, yeah, he's in our pocket. He's great. And it was a great prepare for Anthony Richardson because the fact that Richardson can at least learn from some veteran experience from him. And but now that Richardson is hurt, no, honestly, I'll admit it. I've written off the Colts. I was like, I didn't think Minshew would help them take him this far, but he's done what he had to do, and he's put the points when he had to. Like putting up 31 points against the Titans is pretty decent. Like I give him props there. Like he's is he a world beater? No. He will do much well in the playoffs. Maybe. Like we'll find out. But I don't like he's over exceeded anyway. He's playing with found money and taken to the bank as far as he can go.
He can run.
Who do you think wins?
He can run your offense basically if you need him to. Like he doesn't have to do anything fancy, but he can just get you first downs and get you, you know, the, kind of the plays that you're looking for.
Who do you think wins those two games in the AFC? Bills, Dolphins, and Texans, Colts, the nightcaps.
I think the Bills win. I think they show up. I'm still undecided about the other one. I'm thinking.
I think Texans. I think Texans defense has been playing phenomenal, and they've been playing. They have been creating opportunities for their offense as of late. They had a touchdown last week. They've been creating turnovers. They've been getting to the quarterback. No, I think Houston's a great Derek horse, and I really hope they make a splash in the playoffs. Personally, the Bills match up with the Finns. I am not sure. That's the one that it gives me pause. Honestly, I think it'll be Miami. Miami's at home. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but I think Miami is gonna eke out of it.
Connor, you and I are on the exact opposite side of things. I think the Colts win. I think they play ball control football, and Jonathan Taylor's got a big game ahead of him. And I think that the Texans do really miss Tank Dell, that downfield threat. I think that would have really helped them in this game to push the ball down the field. I think the Colts win. And then I've got Buffalo. Buffalo is just going to find ways to win however possible, whether it's on the ground, whether it's Josh Allen on the ground. But I think that they do get the Stephon Diggs connection back at the right time, and they get that 2 seed in the AFC. And I think they'll end up playing the Colts.
I don't trust that with Stephon Diggs, honestly. Like I'm trying to see because they still have. I know that he's listed currently as did not practice, but like if Noah Brown gets back in for the Texans, having him and Nico Collins could be just fine to run all over Indianapolis. And hell, even Singletary has been playing great. He has solidified himself as that number one running back. He has been a nice surprise for them, especially with who's the guy who was the late draft pick who used to be the running back?
Dameon Pierce.
Dameon Pierce, thank you. I couldn't pull his name out.
I could have told you because he's been on my bench all season.
He's been on my bench too. And I picked up Singletary. It's been riding him all year to third place, baby.
Nick, did you pick the Texans Colts game?
Yeah, I didn't, but I was actually just about to get to that. So it's funny that Connor, you went Texans and Dolphins. Mitchell, you went Colts and Bills. I am pretty much the middle of that, where I am picking for the Bills, and I believe the Texans will win because I think the dark horse for that game is going to be Nico Collins. I think he's going to ball out and be what what Tank Dell probably would have been, would he be playing?
They both were great when they were both playing, though. That's the thing.
I know, but if he would be, that's
Yes.
what I mean. Like I think it's the Texans and the Bills.
I really wish, though, scheduling wise, that the Jaguar game was before the Colts game, because the fact that so many things revolve around the Jacksonville game. Like for example, the Steelers, who I know they're playing Baltimore, who could be benching players, and
I mean, they should.
they should bench
They
players.
have no reason
and,
to. Yeah, they have no reason to.
They
but,
will.
like,
With the
Pittsburgh
injury
has-
history they've had with Lamar, they are.
They have 5 different ways to make the playoffs right now. With either they have to win in 3 scenarios, where they win, Buffalo loses, they win, Jacksonville loses or ties, Pittsburgh wins, Houston, Indianapolis ties, or if Pittsburgh ties, Jacksonville loses, and then Houston, Indianapolis does not end in a tie, they make it, or Jacksonville loses, Denver wins, and Houston, Indianapolis also does not end in the tie. Those are some wild scenarios, and either one could happen.
That's why I love the last week of the season. You get all these wild formulas and things that can happen for a team to get in. Do you remember, was it 2 years
favorite
ago? With one of my favorite games that I've watched in recent history, Raiders Chargers for the last playoff spot.
I wanted to call it.
And
I want to call it. I knew exactly what you're talking about. If they tied
Raiders,
the game, I wanted to tie. I wanted chaos.
And if they tied, they would have both made it, and the Steelers would have been out, and it would have ended Ben Roethlisberger's career. But the Raiders just had to make a kick as time expired in overtime. If they would have missed that kick and sent it to a tie, everyone would have loved it. But we just can't have those nice things because you never get a tie in this situation.
How would that have
Whenever
even
anyone's
worked?
like, "Oh, if this game ends in a tie,"
yeah, like
What do you mean?
how would that have even worked? Like playoff picture wise, like after
I don't even know, but it did after
man.
strength of schedule and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the NFC real quick because the Buccaneers could have made things.
Before you go on,
oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to make a comment on that too. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up because I remember a story that came from it. Because someone made a bet on that happening too.
Oh,
and
there's probably a lot of that.
They made a bet on that situation, and it was like a lot of money on the line for that. And I can't find that article. It was like the Action Network, I think, had it at one point. But yeah, here it is. Yahoo Sports has it. Title: A Raiders Charger tie would have lit the sports betting world on fire.
That's when you hedge.
What if there were?
That
2 ties? What happens then?
If you parlay the 2 outcomes of the Jaguars winning the plus 750 and the potential tie, it would have parlayed to 700 to 1. So a $5 parlay on the Jaguars win and the Raiders Charger tie would have paid out in $3,500. That's insane.
Wow.
That's what I love about those kind of things. That the weird, quirky situations that could happen. It just lands on it dead on. I'm like, oh, or just misses by a hair. Like it's like the would have could been.
The Buccaneers are an interesting team to me because they could have beaten the Saints at home, taking care of their own business, and they did not show up to the game. Luckily for them, they go to Charlotte to take on the Panthers, who just got shut out by C.J. Beathard and Jacksonville, and their owner is throwing drinks on people. So I think that Tampa's going to be
I saw
right.
that.
I think that they fined him $300,000. I'm sure that he really learned his lesson, that multi-billionaire. Yeah, that
Definitely.
really puts a big dent in his pockets. Yeah, find me $300,000, my life is done. Find him $300,000, and things move on. But
He's probably
I
just
think Tampa
telling
will be
someone
just
to get his
fine.
checkbook at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No. Check my couch cushions. I'm sure I've got 300,000 in there.
Yeah.
But then the last wild card spot, assuming that Tampa has no issues in Carolina, which that tickets are like $12, maybe. Hey, it's an important game.
Oh, they're up from 45
My
cents?
head,
Oh, okay. Nice.
yeah, my head, exactly. Yeah, the weather will be a little nicer. It won't be raining. Falcons Saints. I mean, the Saints kept themselves alive, but it's the Packers that I think get in. And all Jordan Love has to do,
They have a few.
after dominating the Minnesota Vikings, and he looked really good. And Jordan Love has had a really solid season this year. I've been very impressed with him. I think he's been playing at an exceptional level. He just has to continue what Brett Favre and especially Aaron Rodgers did, and that is own the Chicago Bears, who have been playing some good football of their own. I don't necessarily buy the whole Justin Fields has made this a difficult conversation for Chicago. No, the Bears should still take Caleb Williams number 1 overall. Get a second round pick or something for Justin Fields. I do think that he's earned the right to start somewhere else, but I think that the Bears have to take that opportunity and take Caleb Williams. But they're playing decent football right now. They're 7-9. They just beat Atlanta in a game that they were winning wire to wire. And the Packers just need to win against their rival in Lambeau Field to make the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Seahawks lost to the Steelers last week. Mason Rudolph torched them. And they're hoping that the Packers lose. And they go into Arizona, who Arizona just beat the Eagles, who, if they were on fraud alert before that game. Now, I don't even know if I could say they're on fraud alert because I think everyone knows. Is it a fraud if everyone knows? Like, if it pops up on your phone as a fraud, is it like, we just know?
No, he's still a fraud.
I think it is, yeah, because like if you know it's like in the same manner, if it's spam, it still shows as
Well, yeah, I
potential
guess
spam.
fraud alert and fraud watch
Yeah,
are different
yeah.
things.
Still, you're a fraud. Like,
Yeah.
fraud watch is the better
Fraud.
question you have.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Seattle definitely needs. I'm looking there. I have the whole scenarios up right now at NFL.com. Yeah, Seattle needs Green Bay to not win in order for them to have a chance. Like even a slim of a chance.
I don't want to see Seattle anywhere near the playoffs. I don't think Geno's played a particularly great brand of football this year. I think the defense is messy. I would much rather see Green Bay get in. I'd rather see New Orleans get in, if I'm being honest. And Carr's played worse than Geno, but I like that Saints defense.
Yeah, but Saints. The thing is with the Saints, it's very interesting where some aspects you only have one path in. For the Saints, for example, they have to win the division. Or they would have to win the division with Tampa Bay losing and then winning, or they can go the harder route of them winning and Seattle losing and Green Bay losing or tying in those situations. So they have two options to get in, but there's two completely different forks where they need different possibilities.
So
Vikings,
what happens,
on the other hand, need help.
What happens if the Packers lose and the Seahawks and Saints both win?
Seahawks and Saints both win?
Yeah.
That means that I think, that'll be Seahawks win. Seahawks make it because the Seahawks will win. Green Bay loses, they're in.
Unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen.
Green Bay
I think
is
Chicago wins the
one
game.
Green Bay is one of the big fulcrum points of who gets in, who doesn't, because the fact that they are in the driver's seat of they control their own destiny. Because if they win, they're in. Simple as that. And even if they lose, they still have a chance.
I think Justin
Because
Fields. Go ahead.
I was going to say like they had because their losing options are if they lose, they will need they need both Minnesota and Seattle to lose, and either Tampa Bay or New Orleans losing. So they have multiple different avenues.
I think Justin
likely,
Fields
but
goes
they're
out in a
different
blaze
avenues.
of glory in Chicago and torches Green Bay in his last game in a Bears uniform. Gets a nice return in the offseason for the Bears, but they still go Caleb Williams. But definitely earns a soft spot in the heart of all Bears fans by knocking the Packers out of playoff contention by just whether it's by air or with his feet. Justin Fields is going to carve up that Joe Barry defense. And unfortunately, I think the Seahawks get the win in Glendale and they find their way into the playoffs. I don't want to see it. I'm not picking what I want to see. I'm just picking what I think happens. Who do you guys think gets that 7th spot in the NFC?
Go, Nick. While I look around.
I gotta do the same thing you're doing.
Because that last spot to me, for chaos purposes, I think they'll suck, but Minnesota will be fun. Just to be eking it in.
No.
8 and 9.
No.
They didn't show up.
I don't think we'll make it, but I think it'll be funny. Oh, I know they didn't, but like they will need again. They will also need a long shot to get in with both Green Bay, Seattle losing, plus Tampa or New Orleans.
They should have never moved off of Dobbs. Their other options are much worse.
Yeah,
I
definitely agree with that.
Yeah. 7th.
Honestly,
yeah.
Who does the Seahawks play again? I'm trying to pull it. We're just strolling around. Here we go. Yeah, I think it's the Seahawks. I'm with you on that one. Because they're playing Arizona. Oh, Arizona did also talk about possible fraud watch. Because the Eagles, that hurt them.
I don't know. I might go with. I don't think I can trust the Seahawks. I'd go
Give me the Saints. I'm taking the Saints to make it. I think Green Bay loses. I think Seattle loses, and New Orleans gets the job done against Atlanta.
I think Green Bay wins. I don't. Yeah.
Because
I don't see them losing. I think they would.
Because what's real? Because I just brought up before. Eagles aren't looking good, and Cardinals has an offense. Like they've been half decent the past few weeks.
So we really have 3 different predictions for every single. We have the AFC teams. We're all different. The NFC teams. We've got me taking the Seahawks, and I don't want that. I'd rather both of the teams you picked to get in. Nick's on the Packers. Connor's in full on chaos mode. And are you sure you don't want to go with the Falcons while you're at it?
Well, the Falcons, I think their only way in is the division. If I remember correctly. I have it up here.
I'm not sure.
Quick second. I'm pulling up now. Yeah, the only way they're in is to take the division with them winning and Tampa Bay losing, because they have a tiebreak over New Orleans, which I think is very funny.
I don't know. But it'll
Yeah,
be
'cause I have
interesting to see
here
what
Atlanta
happens.
clinches NFC. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, because they clinched the NFC South Division with a Atlanta win, Tampa Bay loss because they're playing in New Orleans. So that would be the situation where all teams are sitting at 8 and 9, and Atlanta will have the tiebreakers against both New Orleans and Tampa Bay. But
Oh, wow.
I don't think the Falcons will be in New Orleans personally. I think New Orleans is going to outplay
Yeah,
them
no.
and to get the job done because that Atlanta's been on a dumpster fire.
Last question,
But yeah,
and this. Go
I
ahead.
want to talk about the NFC East because we have the Cowboys and the Eagles because
Oh, no.
it's the
Do we have
I'm
to?
trying
They
to find the
both
most
play
fun way to
bad
put
teams on
this,
the road.
and they both suck.
The Cowboys are 13-point
I think
favorites.
no, I'm saying more so as I don't know if both those teams might get out of the first round.
The Cowboys, I
Like,
think will. The Eagles, I think, could lose to Tampa on the road week one or round one.
like
If they
let's say
both go out week 1 or round 1, oh my god, that'd be music to my ears.
but if the
That's
Cowboys
saying
play
that
as a
you
team with the
think.
Saints,
I was gonna say you think they're gonna lose to the Saints round one of the playoffs. You think that's gonna happen?
it would not shock. It would
It would
not
shock
shock
the
me.
hell out of me.
I would also feel shocked, for the record.
If any of these three teams, the Seahawks, the Packers, or the Saints, beat the Cowboys in the first round, that would shock me.
Yeah.
The Packers would probably be the
Yeah.
least shocking. That the Seahawks go into Dallas, and I'd be floored. But I cannot see that happening. Meanwhile, there's not a team in these playoffs where I can look at and go, oh yeah, the Eagles would definitely beat them. No, not a single one. The Eagles have farted that chance away of feeling secure in any of their playoff matchups. No.
But I want to bring this back up with the Cowboys, where they haven't really played anyone. Like they're okay.
Played anyone or
Let's go
beat
back to
anyone?
I meant beat anyone other than the I guess the Lions win. If you want to know the controversial Lions win they had this
That
week.
pissed me off something awful.
Yeah, even the announcers even made a comment on it, which goes a long way. But like even with that, even we chalked it up to a win. Like other than the Eagles, the Seahawks is their best other win.
Yeah, they beat the Lions. They beat the Rams. They beat
The
the
Rams are
Jets.
okay too. Like, but thing is, like the Seahawks game is like it's a more recent one, and it was not a convincing win either.
No, defense got shredded.
Like I think the Cowboys are also vulnerable, just like the Eagles are. Like I would not be opposed to stiffing that betting line on that.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, what was your last question, Mitchell? Because after talking about the poopy NFC East,
my final question, and I hate to exclude Nick from the. Nick, if you want to chime in, feel free. This should just be a quick little misery thing.
Okay.
Are you rooting for the Jets,
Misery loves company.
or are you not rooting for the Jets?
yes,
Because at the same
rooting for the
point,
Jets.
you brought up the point of just wanting to beat the Patriots and canned Bill an L on his way out. But I don't want to hand the Patriots Drake May. I just don't. I don't want to do that.
The thing is, when you lost the Patriots for 7 straight years now of not beating them.
But I want that win to
About to
mean
go on
something.
8?
This win wouldn't mean anything.
Oh, I'm well aware of that too. But at the same time, like, I hate them. I just hate them.
Oh, I do too.
Like, and I don't. Yes, would it suck to give him a better draft pick? Don't care. I want to spoil Belichick's fun because to me that will mean more than. It's like, for example, like no, with college football coming up, like or with the college football playoffs that just happened. No, there's a lot of big rivalries there. Like it's especially with if you were an Ohio State fan, like would you rather have Michigan or Alabama winning that game? Like that, those are kind of
I
the
don't think
questions
it's
you
quite
have going
that.
there.
I don't think it's quite that clear cut because in that situation you have nothing to gain from like there's no reason why you
Yeah,
wouldn't want Alabama to win.
but also Alabama is considered one of your also big championship rivals compared to Ohio State was. Compared to Michigan State, but I know Michigan State is the dreaded rival of Michigan. But it's like, but the thing is, like to me, it is like I'd rather have just the small victory of beating Patriots because that streak still lingers.
I get that. I don't agree with you, but I understand it. And I won't begrudge any Jets
Yeah.
fan who decides I'm going to root for the Jets to beat the Patriots because Bill Belichick can kick rocks. Yes, Nick.
So, of course, I am not a Jets fan, but to weigh in
Good
on
for
the
you.
situation, yes, good for me.
Congratulations.
Well, being a Giants fan recently is not the best. Anywho, doesn't matter.
You've seen 2 Super Bowls. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I know. That's what I said. It doesn't matter right now. But what I would say is, I think I would be on Connor's side on this, where would, I think I would prefer to stick it to Bill on potentially his last game because then if that, I know we're playing a mighty if game, but it seems like he's kind of on his way out. So if the Jets win, then you could absolutely say like, "Hey, we stuck it to Bill on the last game, blah blah blah." But if you lose, there's still like a chance that Drake May just doesn't become something. You know what I mean? Like, did you feel the same way about Mac Jones when he got to the Patriots? So,
Mac
like there's
Jones was
always
nowhere near the prospect Drake
I,
May
I
is.
get that, but it's like you never know what they're going to become. So like there's a chance that he might just not play well, you know? I think I'd rather just stick it to Bill if I could. Say fuck you.
So you two make very compelling points. I'm not agreeing with you necessarily, but I also know that if the Jets do win, I am going to take some joy in that because it will be nice to hand Bill Belichick a loss on his last game as the coach of the Patriots and end that losing streak. I will be able to see the silver lining in that. So I think you two make good arguments. And maybe by the time Sunday rolls around, I'll agree with you and I'll want to beat the Patriots. But right now, I just want better draft picks because Aaron Rodgers, it's time to start playing football and stop being on talk shows and just play football, please. That's all I want.
Nuff
So
said.
we've made it. The NFL season coming to a close. The playoffs are about to begin. Thanks for listening. For Connor Vandermark and Nick Izzo, I'm Mitchell Lee, signing off from the weekly recess here on Jersey Nerds Productions.